Thank you very much for joining. You are listening to Kylie Rea. I am joined by the wonderful Gloria today, and she is here to talk all things menopause, styling, and just how to boss it through life while you are taking on those certain challenges. Gloria, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Kylie.
Gloria, I was just saying to you a moment ago that a number of friends know that you are coming on to talk to me today. And we are all at that time in our lives where we know something might happen soon and we're not quite sure how to go about it or what to think of it, what to make of it. So this has actually come at a really good time for a lot of my friends and the listeners in general. So thank you very much for joining.
No, thank you for inviting me on. I think it's definitely something we need to all be talking about, and the earlier, the better, I'd say.
Yeah,
for sure.
When we're at school, we get to year 6 and we all have that assembly where we sit down and we're told, la, 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 this happens, and this is what's going to happen. But when we get older, no one really tells us what to expect, what to make of it, what on earth happens, really. So this is why it's so important for someone like yourself to really educate people and guide us through, well, recognizing that we're not actually going nuts. This is just something that we all will be going through at one stage or another.
Yeah, it's definitely a natural progression, but as you say, it's something that is never discussed.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, I've been into menopause now for 6 years coming up.
Okay.
And I've got to tell you, when it first started, I was in complete denial. I'm like, what do you mean menopause?
Really?
Because it wasn't something that was on my radar ever. And I was quite fortunate enough that I didn't really start to notice anything really serious in symptoms until I was like 52. So
okay.
So for me, I was quite later in, but then I've got friends that triggered it early 30s. I've got friends that have triggered it in their 40s. And again, it's recognizing that as much as, I've got friends that are 30s and 40s and they're going, no, I'm not at that age yet.
Yeah.
Girl, you better get a reality check.
Yeah,
it can hit you at any time. It can hit you at any time. I mean, we know that estrogen depletion really does start quite early on. It may be quite fast, it may be quite slow, but it's happening. And it's about making yourself aware and educating yourself about what are those symptoms for the menopause, and there are lots.
Well, everyone always thinks, those classic, hot flushes and, night sweats and just feeling a little bit more flustered and, and things like that. They're always the symptoms that people joke about, don't they? Oh, you're getting a hot flash. Why are you doing this? So why, first of all, why is there such a stigma around it when it's one of the most natural things to happen to women on the planet? But then why is there such a lack of education? Is it because of the stigma surrounding it? Is it because no one really wants to talk about it? It's a little bit weird. Or is it because no one wants to talk to their parents about it? Like, what is it for you? What do you think?
I definitely think it's the stigma, because the stigma is about age, isn't it? So menopause has always been related to, you're at that age. Well,
yeah,
what the hell is that age?
That next stage in life. And even the adverts on TV are very much ageist, aren't they? You get those tenor lady adverts and you get those...
don't get me started, Kylie, with that.
Lager holidays. Yeah. Oh, dentures coming in. Oh, for goodness sake.
It's everything, isn't it? And it's so winding me up, because at the end of the day, that's what society and, media even have all sort of like always had this thing that as soon as you mention the word menopause, you must be of a certain age. And it's all to do with being aged. So, and I also tend to find that women don't want to admit that they're in the menopause, because instantly they know they're going to be deemed as being old.
Yeah, absolutely. And but has it got earlier through generations? Or
it has.
Okay.
I think it's definitely been something that is triggering a lot earlier on. You know, you're seeing cases of young girls that are not even approached 18 yet that have triggered menopause. You're seeing girls at the age of 25. And let's not forget, you can easily have gynecological problems, which will result in, you know, fibroids possibly. It could be polycystic ovaries. It can be a lot of different things. And whilst I'm not medically qualified in any formal manner, but some of the ladies that I have spoken to have explained to me that, you know, they've triggered it quite early, and some have had to have hysterectomies for one reason or another. And what women tend to forget about that as well is that a hysterectomy puts you straight into menopause instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's the whole, you know, as if that isn't traumatic enough, you know, for someone to have to go through that because of X, Y, and Z. Their body just kicks in, you know, and kicks them when they're down almost, you know, for them to have to go through it at such a young age. Does it start gradually? Is it sort of like, it's about to kick in, or is it like you wake up and here you go?
No, I wouldn't say it's you wake up and here you go. From things that I've read about the menopause, and again, I'd say to all of the listeners here, make sure you start reading up and start looking into what the menopause is, because you do start to see symptoms, and, you know, it will be various small symptoms that you're probably just thinking of nothing, but there are symptoms out there that are letting you know that, you know, you're probably becoming perimenopausal. And you know, you'll get some...
Because we're thinking, there's a few of my friends at the moment, we're thinking, okay, these age gaps, are we perimenopausal? But we don't know what that means. You know, it's sort of like, if it wasn't for Google, we'd be like, oh, okay, well, let's find out. We don't know.
You don't know. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like sometimes I've known women that, I mean, for me, I've got to say, perimenopausal, what did that possibly look like? When I look back on things now, at the time, I didn't recognise it. When I look back on things now, I see it. Really? I see, like, my hair started getting really thin, and I started to notice the change in my hair. I started to notice how dry my skin started to get. I started to notice things like joint pain. So I've been always quite sporty. I've been to the gym. I go to the gym quite regularly, whatever. However, what I started to notice was that I started to get a lot of joint pain. In particular, I had frozen shoulders on both shoulders at the same time.
Oh my God, again, that must be horrendous for you.
It was absolutely awful. Until this day, right up until this day, I still have shoulder pain.
Oh my God.
It's just recognising those certain things that you possibly didn't notice before. But I would say the menopause for me has always been about the skin changes, the hair change, the dry mouth, the joint pain, the physical pain more often than not. The hot sweats did eventually come on, don't get me wrong, it did come on at the early stages, and it wasn't like it was I woke up and there it was. It was this gradual thing that I started to notice. Like, it was in July, I think it was June or July, and I kept thinking, why is it so hot? And don't get me wrong, it was warm, but it wasn't as hot as I was feeling. And then it would disappear.
Is it like internal heat where you think, oh my God, I've got, like, as if you're wearing a massive jacket in 32 degrees Dubai? You know, is it like that sort of really hot to the bone?
The only way I can describe it is like someone strikes a match. Right. When they strike the match, you can feel the flame is building, and then you get the full on heat, and then all of a sudden the match goes out and it just stops.
Wow.
That's the only way I can describe it for me.
And it stops as instantly as that?
It just stops just like that. And then I'd sit there and I'd be like, okay. And then perhaps about another half an hour or an hour later, I feel the same thing coming again. I can feel it. I can feel the match has just been struck again. And then, you know, there have been other times I've been in shops, like I remember going into Zara. You know, Zara's full of lights, isn't it? It's just lights everywhere in that shop. And I remember going in there with my daughter, I was thinking, God, it's really hot in there. And I could feel like, for me, the hot sweats weren't dripping. It was more like this sprinkling on my face and just from my neck upwards. Now, everybody gets the hot flashes very, very differently. Some women get it full on, some are literally sweating profusely. I didn't have any of that. Mine was this internal match just being struck. I could feel it rising right into my face, getting a bit of sprinkling on my face. You could see that like I'd been at the gym and I might have been doing a workout, and then it would just stop.
Oh my God. And then
But the worst point was nights. What was that, Kylie?
I said, well, and then you just go back to normal and you're like, oh, okay, it's done. Like, how long would that flush last for, would you say? Is it like a few minutes?
For me, that went on for, yeah, just a few minutes. I wouldn't say it was long. It was a few minutes. It would probably be 1 to 2 minutes. But it was the frequency in which it was starting to happen, because then it was night. At night was the worst for me. The night time was waking up like not even waking up because I couldn't even sleep half time. It was consistent throughout the whole night. It was just flush, cool down, flush, cool down continuously. And then I started to develop a lot of insomnia, which is another thing that I started to notice.
Is that part of the sort of...
It got to a point...
Sorry, I was just going to say... Is that part of the sort of night sweats, and the insomnia kicks in and it's all part of one big package at the night time?
Yeah, there is so much. And those, when I look back on it now, those were some of the things that I just didn't take seriously. I just thought, oh, for goodness sake, what is this?
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I wasn't sleeping. I was literally just getting up and going to work with like an hour's sleep. Not even an hour's sleep, it was broken sleep that totaled an hour, literally. And I just thought, I can't function like this. This is not happening. It's just not happening. And it was about a year into all of this that I went to the doctors, and he just said to me, oh, well, how old are you? And I'm going, well, I'm 52. And he goes, yeah, well, you're probably in the menopause. I'm going, yeah, whatever. And he's going, no, like, when were your last periods? I'm just like, oh yeah, possibly then. Yeah, it might be that.
Okay. So you can almost make it back. So I mean, what is happening to your body? So the hot flush is the one thing, and you know, the sort of just
it's all the estrogen, isn't it? Estrogen just stops producing, it starts to deplete. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Right,
and we know that for us as women, estrogen is a main part. There's also testosterone, which I do know they do prescribe often, but it's more about your estrogen and the depletion of that, and understanding that when that starts to deplete, slowly but surely, things start to change within the female body. So, you know, you're going to be looking at our hair even. It's the simple things like your hair. Now, we all know that, you know, when you're pregnant, your hair is literally flourishing, isn't it? Because, you know, you've got all that estrogen and everything like that. And then as soon as you have your baby, the estrogen just stops and drops back down to normal levels. And it's like, you know, you get like bits of breakage, but then it settles. So, you know, you can see that transition. Now, when you're looking at it with the menopause, it's more about your estrogen now slowing down completely, just slowing down. And obviously those are where you start to notice your changes in your skin, in your hair, the dry mouth, possibly anxiety, migraines. It's a combination.
It's the hormones sort of changing, then the impact on that sort of physically comes out. But when you say like anxiety can kick in, does it a woman's mental health to the state where, you know, when people go, oh, she's going crazy, she's going through the menopause, she's, you know, angry all the time, and then she's crying all the time, and so what?
No, 100%.
Is that a thing as well? Because I know they're doing a storyline on it at the moment in Emmerdale, where again she went through
mental health
denial and no, and then she went, oh my God, it's actually the menopause.
Now, mental health, it definitely impacts your mental health. You've got to remember that this is something that's changing hormonally within your body. I mean, it's just, you can even look at it in terms of, you get pregnant, you can be pregnant with your child, and then as soon as you've had your baby, you then end up with postnatal depression.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's the hormone. It's your hormone imbalance. Now, it's the same thing with the menopause. Your hormone is now all over the place. It is now changing rapidly. And for some women, it does change real rapidly. And of course, it's going to impact mental health. And it's easy for, and I think this is the other thing that gets me. Women are so nasty to other women, and that's what I can't even tolerate at the best of times, because I've been in the office before and I've seen a colleague of mine, and she was literally having a complete breakdown. She was in the menopause, but it was more affecting her mentally, as well as physically, but it was more mentally. She just wasn't coping. And you hear all the snidey remarks and things like, oh, why don't she just go home? She's no use here. And instead of just thinking, actually, what is she going through? What is it? But yeah.
Again, I suppose it's because we aren't educated enough to understand what that woman at that age of her life is going through. It's almost like what I can
It's a lack of understanding.
It's a lack of understanding.
Lack of understanding.
But if someone was to lose their parent or lose their child and was going through that, you would give them empathy. But I suppose you are grieving for the fact that you won't ever have a child again. You are losing that ability to ever have a child, perhaps, to ever do that, and then to realise I'm actually getting older. So it's all of that sort of running around in your mind, as well as the physical symptoms.
Lots of things.
It's really tough. But why aren't we educated? Why aren't we given more compassion, or people like yourselves given more of a platform to educate and make it normal? What's the problem?
I think as well, when you look at it, when you look at platforms and things like that, I also think sometimes we have to look within ourselves and just think about how much are we actually denying it, and not embracing the menopause. Because you've got some women, say like Davina McCall. Davina's out there and she's all for the power of menopause and things like that. And there's lots of other women that are definitely on that platform. But when you look at the majority of women, nobody wants to say, I'm a menopausal woman.
No.
Because of the stigma that comes with that. It's going to be like, well, oh, I'm at that age. Oh, my life has ended. And for goddamn sake, your life has not ended. What, you just, you now dead from the eyebrows down? What are we doing? Yeah. It's a natural phase of our life as a woman. You get puberty, you get pregnancy if you're fortunate enough, and then you get menopause. There's no denying it. I don't know why we feel ashamed about it.
No.
Which is the other thing. Embrace it. It is what it is. Yeah. You celebrate. Well, I'm not saying you celebrate puberty, because who celebrated that at the end of the day? But I was
one of the last in the whole school, I'm sure. Some of the year 70 to it, Gloria. I can't even tell you. And I was like, and I knew exactly what to expect, but because I was so late, I almost just, come to terms with the fact that it's never going to happen for me, and I'm just going to, we went to the doctors, and we were sort of like, saying it's fine, don't rush it, just take your time, just go with it, and it will happen when it happens. And I suppose that's a very similar thing with the menopause. It's going to happen, it will happen when it's happening. There's no rush, there's no race to get there first, like there was in, puberty for a lot of my friends. And I suppose, like you say, just
it's the pressure, isn't it? It's the constant pressure, because don't forget, as you just described there was the concern about, oh my God, what's going to be happening? Is it even going to happen for her? She's a bit late, right? And then you get the pressure about, so when are you going to have a baby? Are you in your 30s now? When do you think you're going to get pregnant?
Body clock's ticking, it's ticking away, and then go through the treatments quicker. You got to stop freezing your eggs. Quick.
Yeah. Clock's ticking, and then you now get the pressure. Oh, so you're in the menopause then, so that's you finished. Like, what on earth? It just doesn't stop. But for me, my message for women is that I just say, we need to stop this. We need to stop this, and only we can stop it. Yeah. And that is to to look at the menopause. The menopause is not a dirty word. It's not something you should be ashamed of. It's not something that means your life has ended. It doesn't mean any of these things, but yet that's the way it is perceived.
Mm.
The menopause is whatever you want it to be. For me, it's 6 years in. Is it slowing me down? Absolutely not. If I'm having a hot flash moment, I just tell people, listen, I'm having a tropical, back up right here. Don't want to hear anything.
Oh, yes, Gloria. Yes.
Just back up.
That's the terminology we need to be using.
Yeah. Why am I ashamed of it? Why? Why am I going to be ashamed of it? You know, I'm not going to do that, because the more we do that and the more we go, shh, she's doing the menopause, the more, you know,
yeah. And there is
you know, I've worked with I've worked with women who are in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, and I've heard the whisper, oh, she's got the fan on again. And I turn and I go, yeah, I damn well have. Now, what's the problem?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm going to ask you. How do you respond to comments like that? It's not to, you know, it's almost to sort of stop people in that narrative, isn't it? And saying, don't just think because I've got a fan on that I'm any less of who I once was. I'm just going through something that you're going to be going through in another few minutes' time, you know? So let's not start pointing fingers. Yeah, I totally understand that.
You know, it's the way women really do bash other women. It's just so disgraceful, to be honest. And at the end of the day as well, you know, we sit there and we can be so judgmental. We start talking about, oh, look what she's got on, or look at the state of her. Anything like that. We've always got something to say. And then, of course, you're not in the menopause. Oh, she's old, isn't she? Oh, she's not really got much use here, or whatever. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And I think,
it's boring now.
Is that because at the minute social media has a part to play in that, where everything has to fit a certain aesthetic, or you are not trendy, you're not trending, you're not, you know, battling the algorithms, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So if you're not following that sort of narrative of what social media is needing, demanding from so many people, if you aren't meeting that, you are pushed to the wayside. But that's also in a society algorithm now. If you're not hitting this, and this is obviously where your styling comes into it as well, where you're able to empower people. If people aren't matching that aesthetic, they, as a society, are judged, or they're too much or too little, or letting yourself go, or storing a little bit of weight around the middle, you know, and stuff like this. And people do say that a lot more now. I think a lot more people are more critical. You know, we've got Love Island, we had X Factor, we had pop stars back in the day, even Stars and Stars, you know, where people were welcomed to judge others on their skill, talent and appearance. So how do you help people try to sort of chip away that negativity from their sort of surrounding them, to put on that dress and feel that amazing in that beautiful pair of shoes? Like, how do you pull them through and bring that confidence back to them?
I think the key point what you just raised there, Kylie, is about the feeling of feeling relevant.
Yeah.
And I do think that's the big thing. If you don't fit the norm, or, you know, you're not deemed as being social media friendly, or meeting the aesthetic, you know, you're not really relevant, are you?
Well, no one's interested. They, you know, they don't want it unless you're sort of using this filter in this location with this bag. So yeah, but that's only one aspect of you know, Instagram. I'm not interested in all of that. I want to listen to real people, real stories, people that are relatable and they're relevant to me. You know, that's what I use social media for. I'm not interested in all of this, you know, tropical, have a lovely time in Venice on a lovely boat. I'm sure it's amazing, but that doesn't match me or who I am or my lifestyle. It's not even something I aspire to achieve. You know, I'd rather talk about someone who stays in on a Saturday night and gets a kebab, you know. That's sort of like where I'm at.
I mean, we also have to remember, but we also have to remember, though, kind of, that those little snippet shots that you're seeing on social media or Instagram or whatever, it's a split, 30 seconds of something. that has just been combined to make a lovely video. Like,
Yeah.
how is that so real? But you know, when I work with the clients that I work with, the one thing that I always say to them is, because I look at everything holistically, I want to find out, like, where are you within yourself? Like, how confident do you feel? What do you see when you look in the mirror? I don't want to hear about what people think, but I want to ask you, how do you feel from within yourself? Because you can always guarantee as well that a lot of confidence has been lost, and it can be lost from, no, as you said, no longer feeling relevant, you know, empty nesting. It can be that they're at that point of stage in life at work where they're seeing all the up and coming younger candidates that are moving upwards and they just feel stagnant. It could be that they don't feel they can learn anything else. Well, let me just say this. That is just society telling you that. You can do anything and learn anything at whatever age you want to, if you want to. Yes. It's that simple. If you want to. If you want to do something and you're determined that's what you want to do, there's no voice, there's no words, there's no sentence that can tell you that you can't do it unless you believe it. Yes. So I'm always about, and I always think to myself, you know, it doesn't matter if you have any mental health conditions, doesn't matter if you have any physical conditions, there's nothing that stops you from doing what you want to do, because believe me, and I know you've seen this as well, there's people out there who've got physical disabilities and they're doing more than some that have got full physical abilities to do it.
Absolutely right.
And it's all because of the mindset.
It is. And do you think it's mindset from a young age, sort of growing up, and that's the mindset that they sort of follow? Or do you think that it's a mindset that you can grow into and you can suddenly go, right, I'm not being this person, I'm going to do everything I can, I'm going to get those self-help books, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that? Is that something that can you re-educate?
I think it's something that, you know, I think you can. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I've always been, I mean, for me growing up, I've always been, you know, the shy one, didn't really speak. You know, if I was at work and he'd pull me into a meeting, I'd be like, for God's sake, please don't ask me a question, because I didn't really want to speak. I'd always want to be the one in the background, not at the front, like, you know, in the spotlight. Don't put me up there, I'm not interested. Yeah. But as the years have gone on, I'd say probably like my mid-40s, all of a sudden I thought to myself, hold on a minute, I've got a voice. What am I doing? Yeah. Well, you know yourself now, don't you? I think when you're in your 20s, you don't know who you bloody are. No one knows who they are then, unless they've got this forced sort of esteem, you know, behind them, and then they're probably faking it until they're making it. But you know, as I'm getting older, I'm definitely realizing that I am more confident in myself and my opinions, my views. Yes. And not in a, well, everything I say is correct, but like you're saying, you feel more confident in saying, actually, I do have a voice and I can do that. So is that, you know, did you sort of got that in your mid-40s and that sort of propelled you into menopause with a stronger mindset of just going, right, I'm just going to own it? Is that something that developed? Yeah, that is just developed. I would say that is developed purely because, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a older mum. I mean, I had my daughter when I was 39. I don't know. Maybe it's because I feel, don't get me wrong, there's no social media. I don't know, because guess what? If she knows it, I better be knowing it. Yeah, simple as that. And that's the way I've looked at it. So I've tried to keep up with everything. But however, in terms of everything else, I just believe, and this is a really strong thing that I have, that there's nothing I can't do, and there's always more to learn. Always, there's always more to learn. It doesn't matter how many years I've got behind me, as I say to my daughter. I think you may be 19, but I've still got X amount of years on top of you. Yeah, however, absolutely. What I may know, I just need to enhance it a bit more to what is current today, and keep that moving. But I'm still that person that I feel I'm not invisible. just because I'm in my 50s. I'm not, it doesn't mean that I can't be relevant just because I'm in my 50s. And that comes to styling, you know, where you just think that, well, you know, you're in your 50s. Why are you dressing like that? Why are you actually wearing heels? Why? What do you mean? What do you mean, why? So is there a shop that says...
Yeah, like you're putting...
Oh, no, I don't think there's a shop. Sorry, you go, Kylie.
It was like on top of each other. We both getting to the same point at the same time, but saying the same thing.
Yeah.
No, this is your stage. You say, you go.
No, I was just thinking, you know, like, for me, like, you know, I'll wear anything I so wish, anything. I'm not saying that I'll be wearing a skirt that's like, you know, the size of a belt. I'm not saying that.
If you wanted to, I mean, you'd rock
if I wanted to, but you tell me I can't. Exactly. But
you'd own it.
Own it. I'll wear whatever I want, and you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, but I'm not saying that I'm going out there with a low-cut dress on or things like that. But there are things that I can wear, and I will wear it. But then some people seem to think, oh, well, what are you doing? You're in your 50s. I said, well, is there a shop that says 50s?
Yeah.
Is there a shop that's determined by age? Is there a special section that says, oh, menopausal women come shop here? No. Exactly. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the fashion industry does cater for women as they get older, because they seem to only cater, to be honest, for women that are in their mid-20s going into 30s. And then after that, if you're fortunate, you might be able to think to yourself, well, yeah, I can wear that in my 40s, 50s, because that's just how it works. Yeah, but absolutely. Having said that, with the background that I have and the knowledge that I have, I'm a trained designer, pattern cutter. I can sew. I can do all of that. Yeah. I do understand what makes a good fit in a garment. So for me, it's not always about the trend, but it's going to be more about the fit. And I think when you get older, when you get older, it has to be more about finding that perfect fit and not necessarily a trend, because trends are a cycle. When you get style and fit,
these trends out there at the minute, oh no, it's some of them that are like, they're bringing these 90s back. You know, you think there's really no need. Like when I was wearing those really low-rise jeans in the 90s, I hadn't started my puberty journey yet, so they were fine on me then because I was 11. I'm now no longer 11, so it's not something that I would ever put myself back into. But I think that comes with knowledge and understanding of what works for you, what makes you feel good. If I was to wear something like that, I wouldn't feel good. I'd probably feel like I was playing dress up. Do you know what I mean? And like these belly tops, if you've got the belly to wear them, I love you, have a great time. I don't, I won't be wearing them. But it's sort of like knowing what works for you and what doesn't. But you're right, with the high street at the minute, there isn't, I mean, unless you want to go and shop at Bon Marché or Edinburgh Woolen Mill, there isn't really anything for the older lady. But Autograph at Marks and Spencer's, they've got some amazing timeless pieces. And I think if you can find places like that sort of work for you, and, you know, you can just have a whole wardrobe that you can open up and go, right, that is all classic timeless. I know that I feel great in all of those outfits. I know I feel really confident and they fit me and they suit me. Is that what you do with your clients?
I take my clients every and anywhere. Every and anywhere they say, I seem fit. So it depends on the actual personality of the individual, because it's not, I mean, I style women that are some in their 30s, I style some in their 40s, 50s, 60s, it really doesn't matter. But it is more purely about what is their style personality, because you get, most women are not happy with a certain part of their body, let's face it. And the majority is always going to be the tummy area. Admittedly, more so when you do get menopause, or everybody knows about the menopausal belly. But I wouldn't say that all menopausal women have that. I wouldn't say that at all, because that would be labeling everybody the same. Everybody has their own thing. So it's all about understanding that, okay, so these the areas of your body that you're not comfortable with. I always say don't like, say you're not comfortable with it.
Yes.
But there's ways that you can dress that to draw the attention away from that area if that's what you deem fit. But again, it's about owning and accepting your body as it is today. So the one thing that I would say that I do first and foremost is always do a wardrobe detox. After we've talked and I've sort of like worked out who you are, where you are in your life and things like that. And the first one I say, let's go into your wardrobe. And I can guarantee you, Kylie, even you've probably got it because I know I had it. Yeah. Go in there and there's stuff with labels on that you haven't even put on yet. Yeah. And you'll always say, yeah, but when I lose a bit of weight, I'll fit into that.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I'll come back around one day. I'll keep hold of that for next decade.
Yeah. But then what is that reminding you of? The past you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you could have that there 2-3 years later, it's still there. Yet what, you ain't lost the weight yet?
Mm-hmm. No.
It's still there. So what is it? Is it not a constant reminder of the old you? Yeah. So my thing is, I've always said, like, right, let's get rid of it. Get rid of them, because all that's going to just keep on saying to you is you still can't fit it. You still can't fit it. So you'll always just be in denial of your body as it is today.
Well, Gloria,
so that is the one big thing I do.
What are your Instagram handles? I know we've got just a minute left now. But what are your Instagram handles so that people can really connect with you? And I think what we might do is get you back on, if you don't mind, to do a question and answer session with you.
Of course.
I know people have so many questions about this, and you know, like you say, you're not a doctor or medically trained in this, but you just get it, and you're so easy to talk to and really knowledgeable. So if you wouldn't mind, just what are your Instagram handles or Facebook groups?
So my Instagram handle's at the Holistic Menopause Stylist.
The Holistic Menopause Stylist, okay.
Stylist. And my Facebook group is Style Empowerment with Miss Smythe. So you'll find me there as well.
Fabulous.
So join me there and I can answer any questions you want.
Amazing. Gloria, thank you so